Broken. Don't tell you an explanation. Broken. Don't tell you an explanation.
Hello everyone and welcome to the TeenTok show, proudly brought to you by Aloud, Gambia and Paradise TV. The TeenTok show is your one-stop show where you can ask questions about questions that you can't ask your parents, you can't ask your teachers, you can't ask anyone, mind-boggling questions, controversial questions, all these questions, and we're here to give you God's perspective of those questions. Wow, that's amazing. And today I have a beautiful guest, our very own. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Ire.
Hi, Ire. Hi. Yes, and I'm your host for today. My name is Josephine. Yeah, ever beautiful. You know what I'm saying?
I know, right?
Alright, Ire, how have you been? Like, how's been your week? How has your week been?
It's been good. It's been productive.
Oh, wow. School's not stressing you?
No.
Not really.
Not really.
Not really. Wow. You can't tell. Like,
how about you? How's your week been?
I feel like, yeah, the week has been hard, but you know, God day, God day, wow.
Push through.
Yeah. So today, as always, we bring you a very interesting question from interesting people. Please do not forget to send in your comments on our TikTok, on our
YouTube.
Please remember to send in your questions on our social media pages, on every social media at Teens Aloud Gambia. One word, Teens Aloud Gambia. I don't know why that word came to mind. Anyways, so today's question is very interesting, and this person is asking and saying, I simply don't want to share my personal issues with other people. I prefer to keep them inside, even though they can weigh heavily on me at times. I don't really see it as an issue because people can sometimes use your vulnerability against you. Wow. So we're going to go on a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to discuss this question.
Broken. Don't tell you an explanation.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the show. And today, as always, I said before, we have this very interesting question. So this person apparently, as I'm seeing this, has an issue with trusting people. Yeah, probably because of something that they have faced or something that they have seen people face. Because sometimes you just relate, even though the thing has actually happened to you. You're like, like I can't be friends with people because people are just like too much wahala. Like girls like to say that a lot. I can't be friends with girls. Girls have too much wahala. I can't.
No, that's pick me behavior.
Yeah. All right. So, what do you think?
I simply feel like you just have to have a discerning spirit. You should ask God for the spirit of discernment to be able to tell which person is good and which person is not. And yes, you can't, like, if you say there's nobody in your life, like absolutely no one in your life that you trust, then I feel like there's actually there's a problem there. Like you really need to rethink your circle and find good people, because good people actually do exist, but you just have to have a nose for them and you have to be able to pick them out. Because the thing with keeping your problems to yourself is that maybe if it's just one problem, okay, fine, 2, 3, okay, but like when you keep on piling problems on top of each other, and like that makes the problem bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you feel so heavy. And then one random day will just take the smallest thing to upset you, and then everything just comes flooding out. And I feel like you can't actually say, oh, I don't have anyone to share my problems with. You have Jesus.
Wow.
You have the Holy Spirit. You have God. And it says in the Bible, come to me, all ye that are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. So if you talk to God about your problems, He can help you, and He does speak. Like if He could speak to Abraham, if He could speak to Enoch, if He could speak to all those people in the Bible,
Moses.
What is stopping Him from speaking to you? Yes, sure, some people are like, oh, God doesn't speak anymore. God, like, you will not hear Him directly as those people did hear Him. But He does, He brings signs, like, you hear Him through other people sometimes.
Yeah.
Because, let's say you're having a very bad day or something, and then you now see a bumper sticker that says, don't worry, everything will be all right.
Wow.
Those type of things are just a billboard that speaks to you. It is God speaking, because God knows the problem that you're facing at that exact moment, at that time. and he's always there and willing to like provide you some sort of comfort.
Yeah. I also feel like, for example, things like people that say, oh, I spoke to this person before and then they reveal my secret, so I don't feel like I can tell to anybody else, but then you look at things like, for example, you if you have ever been in a car accident, or if you've ever seen a car accident before, doesn't mean that you never enter a car before, again in your life. Or just because like maybe you choked, I won't say that, because that actually happens. Like, for example, you choke on a particular food,
And
you
then
have you not in
you
that
not
food
have
again.
appetite for it again.
Yes, but anyways, that's not my point. My point is that just because something happens to you, like, doesn't, like, just because a certain person has done this to you doesn't mean it applies to every other person. Okay, so I feel like we have to come to that point where we realize that, okay, because just like how God is not like you said about how God like probably won't speak to you audibly that you can hear. I mean, he does to a few people, but then sometimes he won't speak to you audibly to hear, but he will speak to, like, he can send somebody through a person's situation or circumstance, and then he'll use that to speak to you. Okay, because we know as Christians that the Bible tells us that everything that we are going through, the trials and the tribulation, that they will yield fruit in us. Okay, and I believe that one of the things that those things do is that they help you to be able to they help you to help other people. Okay, like we know that Paul, for example, was one of the people that persecuted the church a lot. Okay, and at the end of the day, he became like one of the greatest apostles of Christian history. Okay, he killed a lot of people, but some people can look at that scripture in the Bible, or can look at that thing that he did, and then find themselves in that situation where, or maybe you have killed somebody, or maybe you have done something bad, and you're saying that, oh, if even Paul could be forgiven and used as one of the greatest prophets who wrote like a lot of books in the New Testament, then why can't I do the same? You understand? So, but if Paul didn't like share what he was going through at that point with people, or if nobody knew that, oh, Paul was this, Paul was that, because you can see that he said it a lot of times that he was actually a persecutor of the church, and then later on
He was open about it.
yeah, he was
And
really
I
open
feel
about
like
it.
a problem half shared is a problem half solved. Because there's this thing that happens whenever you feel isolated, or you feel like, oh, there's no one I can talk to about it. It makes a problem so much worse. That's when you're alone, different types of thoughts will just be creeping in your head, and you will generally like be feeling much worse than if you have told somebody about it. Because as human beings, we're not made to be like solitary creatures. We're made to have human interactions and be with people. That's why if they want to punish someone like in the prison, the worst form of punishment they can give is solitary confinement. Because then your mental health will just go to the floor. Like you will barely even be a person anymore. And the devil likes to isolate people when they're when they're at their like worst point. So the only voice you hear is his voice. And you have no other voice to like counterfeit his voice. And I also feel like a way of also de-stressing, or like getting your mind off it, even if you say, oh, I have no one to talk to about it, write it down. Diary, like have a diary, because I've seen people with diary entries. They'll be like, oh, dear diary. They talk to their diary as if they're talking to a person, and that's actually very therapeutic. Like it helps putting your feelings down on paper does help. That's why some people write songs about how they're feeling, write poems about how they're feeling. It helps with the healing.
It's very important. And then thinking about how you were talking about this solidarity thing, and it just reminded me of like how, when you're watching wildlife or Animal Kingdom, those kind of things, and you see that the lion is always going after like the cub that is behind or away from people. And then sometimes we go through things in our lives and we're like, oh, at this point I'm just like, because like there's a reason why God made the church. There's a reason why it's called a church. Like, it's not just one person. It's not a one person. It's not a one man thing. It's a lot of people coming together, even though with their differences and all, and come together to form what is called the church. Okay, and then if you are away, you see that like the Bible calls the devil like he's a roaring lion, roaming about seeking whom to devour. So if you are out of this, like there's a certain circle or there's a certain protection when you are around people who have like mind or who are there like positive. There's always like this kind of protection for you, okay? And then when you are out of that circle, then that's when you see that you'll be able to, you're easily able broken down, or those things that can happen to you if you're not willing to talk to people about it. So it's really important that you find people that you are able to talk to. And like you said in the beginning, if you do not find, or if you find that you look throughout yourself and you can see that there's actually nobody that can talk to, that can actually help me. Like some people, you tell them, I'm going through the day, will start laughing at you, ha 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 ha. What's that
exactly?
Was that better?
Drop them
Yeah,
quick.
it's really important for you to do that.
Also, I feel like you can have people to confide in, but like based on specific matters. Like if you're having problems at school, have this one person that you come to talk to about your problems at school. Let that be where it stops. If you feel like this person can't relate to your other problems or the other struggles that you're facing, just bring up the problem that you feel like they can help you with. And if you're having problems at home, just find different people that fit what you're going through, and that can help you go through what you're going through. You don't have to tell one person every single thing that's going on in your life, because that other person might not see from the way you're seeing it, and they might even judge you about it. So you have to have specific people that you tell specific things to. You don't tell everything to everybody. Okay,
well, that makes sense. But then in Teens Aloud, we have something that we call accountability partners. So there are actually 3 levels of accountability. You have people that you yourself are accounting to. That means so there is the higher accountability. That means people that are the people that you can look up to, to get examples for. And you have the lateral, that means people that you are on the same level, okay, that they can relate to you. And you have people that you yourself that are accounting to you, so that means the lower level, okay. So then you see that on the lateral level are people that you can relate to, like maybe your fellow teen or your fellow friend that you can relate to, like probably you're going through like school stress, okay, because sometimes there are some things that, like, if you tell, maybe you're telling someone that is older, they can't actually get it because they've already gone past that stage, and they can't really comprehend exactly what you're going through. And also, it's also very important for you to know that when you're talking to people, they are supposed to talk to people that are of the same sex with you. Why is that important? Because then when you're talking to someone that is the same sex with you, for example, you're a female and you're talking to someone about maybe you're having problems with your health, maybe your menstrual cycle or something. If you're telling a man about that, like, they don't understand, and also it can lead to so many things, like, because if you're telling somebody,
you shouldn't be
you
too
are
intimate.
Exclusive. You are very it's very exclusive when you're telling someone.
It's a very intimate topic, those type of things. So you have to also know how to talk about it, and you have to also be very careful on who you talk about those type of things to.
Yes.
That's why it's like people mostly want to get someone close to them that's of the same gender with them.
Yeah.
So it also avoids any other form of like sentimental attachment.
Yes, emotional attachment
or sexual attachment to the other person.
Yeah, that's very right. And once you find those people, for example, someone that you that is a mentor to you, okay, that type of person, maybe you can tell them about probably maybe stuff, maybe about your spiritual life or stuff like that, okay, or maybe something about maybe business, just your professional life. And then you find people that that means you're not only receiving from someone, but you're also giving. Do you understand? So it's really important. And then you see that just as how God is using that other person to speak to you about something, God is also using you to speak to someone else. Okay, so we're going to go on a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to discuss about why is it really important for you to actually open up to people or share things to people. Okay, we'll be right back.
Broken. Don't owe you an explanation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I mean, it's an interesting show as always, but please do not forget to send in your comments. Like, what do you think about this issue that we're discussing? Do you have any problems, or do you have any questions about anything that you have any questions about? Just ask us, okay? Because we're here for you. All right. So, like, why do you think it's really important for you to like maybe share someone? Because this person seems to have an issue with trusting. Because they're saying that they don't really see an issue. Like, they don't think it's a problem to keep things to themselves.
I feel like you shouldn't keep things to yourself because when you harbor things in your heart, it really weighs much on you, and that's where depression can creep in. And to be honest, even if you're like, oh, I don't trust anybody, or I feel like there's nothing wrong with trusting anybody, you're not, no man is an island. You always need someone.
Okay.
You always need someone. Even if you're like, just find good people to put in your circle.
Yeah.
And it will help you. It will actually really help you. Because when you're always in your head and always in your thoughts, you're not trying to like, you don't see outside the box. You don't ever see the bigger picture. And I feel like if you ever feel bad about something, or something is really weighing heavy on your heart, I feel like you should count your blessings.
Wow.
Because when you write down the things that you are very appreciative for, it makes the things that you don't have a little bit less. So anytime I'm feeling like, oh, I'm not enough, or oh, I really wish I was like this girl, I wanted something, or I'm admiring something about someone else that is making me feel bad, like why can't I be like her? I think to myself, I'm like, I'm blessed. God gave me this, God gave me that, God gave me this, God gave me... Like, count all your blessings and be like, in as much as this person has some nice things, I have some nice things too that the person doesn't have. So that way you always have a positive mindset and a positive demeanor to life. And you can go around happy, like being an actual happy person. Because, you know, nobody is perfect.
Yeah. I feel like some people also like to put this strong like structure or thing around them that makes them feel like, oh, how are you? I'm fine. Like, I'm fine. Because they don't want people to like pity them, or they want people to be like oh yeah, those type of things.
I'm not gonna lie, I do hate that too. So sometimes I would say I'm fine
when you're not.
When I'm not fine.
Yeah.
And it's just normal. Nobody wants to be seen as, oh, like, as human beings, when somebody tells you their problem, like, oh, this girl was the girl that had malaria last week. Like, people actually sometimes do label you with your problems. So I understand where this person is coming from. Because let's say the person had a very traumatic experience. They'll be like, oh, she's the one. If they don't know your name, they're going to be like, oh, like, she's the one her dad died last week. Like, human beings do that a lot.
Yeah.
But I feel like, instead of you saying I'm fine, say, oh, I could be better. Or I'm managing by God's grace. Instead of just lying, we know you're not fine. So why are you lying? I've seen people, they'll be crying. They're crying and they'll be like, I'm not crying.
Like, what's that?
I'm not crying.
Oh my God. It's really true. I'm thinking about that. I mean, but then you have to also realize that because not sharing, like, maybe you think that, okay, it's just like a personal problem, like I don't like sharing my personal life, but then if you don't actually share, then how are you going to like build relationships? Or, you know, because like some things, like some people, they connect based on like what has happened to them. Okay, like probably this person is there like suffering, and then they're like, oh, I want to like connect with someone based on this, and then you're like I'm fine, although you know you're not fine, and then there's someone that you could basically connect with because of like what you two have gone through and all of that. So when you begin to like let things go or begin to share them outwards, I feel like it also helps you build your integrity because then otherwise if something happens, like even if it's because you feel like you can actually do it by yourself, like you don't need anybody. When you actually need some people, you find it hard to actually go to people and tell them, oh, I really need this. Because then you feel like, oh, I can do it by myself, when you can't do it by yourself. Because like you said, God did not create us like when no one is an island. You always need somebody. Yes. So another thing is that like if you don't find it easy to talk to people, if you don't find it easy to talk to people, you don't have to like share with everybody at once. Okay, you can start with one person, and you also need to know like what God has to say about what is happening to you. Okay, like does God, like, because God is the one that we look up to. God is the one that tells us, like, because he knows everything. So if he is asking you, like, for example, maybe someday in the future God wants you to use your story, or he wants you to use your problems, the problems that you have faced, to encourage somebody, okay, and you have never like done it before, you would find it like extremely hard. Okay, but like I give the example of, because he actually shared it once, he was able to share it twice, and because he shared it twice, he was able to share it a lot of times. And also, once you're able to share some things, like for example, if you have a traumatic experience or something, once you're able to share it, it's no longer a hold on you. It shows that you have actually let go. If you say, oh, I forgive you, but then you're not going to talk about what happened to the person.
Because as human beings, I feel like every single time we have a problem, we like to magnify it. So let's say that thing, how would I put this? Oh, I'm sick and I can't get up from bed. I've been in bed for 2 weeks. Then you now meet someone and you're talking to them about the problem, and the person was like, but there was one time I got in an accident and I was in a coma. Then you now feel grateful. You now be like, because no matter what you're facing, there's always someone out there that has it worse than you.
Yep.
There's always someone out there that has it worse than you. And because you're so self-centered, or like you're magnifying your problem so much, you don't feel like you should be grateful about anything. You don't feel like you should count your blessings. Like you should always count your blessings, because think of the worst case scenario. There's nothing, even if you think, oh my days, my life is over.
Like this is it. This is the worst case scenario.
Exactly,
There's always the worst.
This is it. There's always something much more worse than what you think. This is it. Even if you say, oh, everything is done for me, at least you're alive. Some people are dead.
Yeah.
That's the worst. Yeah, because death is like basically the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And even if you're suffering, thank God for life.
I remember one time that my dad told me this example that happened to him. So he was actually in Cote d'Ivoire, and then so like he felt like he was working, and then so he was like really down, like no pockets, nothing. And then so he felt like so bad, and then he had some like really bad slippers, and then so he went in like to the seaside for a swim, and then he came out and he saw shoes that someone took his bad slippers and they gave him worse ones, and he was like, thank you God, at least someone saw my bad slippers that I think that they were worse, and then they took those ones and they gave me ones that were worse than that. So like it's just like showing you that, okay, there's something. And I remember me and Ari were talking about this offset, about how it's always important, like one other reason why you should share things that are happening to you is because like you don't always see things. Okay, so the example that I gave was like how, like for example, you're walking on a road, you don't have eyes behind your back that see what's happening, but if there's someone behind you, they can see what's actually happening behind you. Okay, so like for example, if a car is coming and you're not hearing or you're not seeing it, and then someone can just say, hey, there's a car coming, just move, and then you'll be able to move because they can actually see. So that shows you that that's why God gives us eyes in front of us, don't give us eyes behind us. It shows that, okay, we actually need people. Okay, so at any point in your life, probably you always need to have someone else's opinion on what is happening. Maybe sometimes it's not something that you would love, or I didn't ask for your opinion, but sometimes you really need.
And also
opinion.
just know that, like, in as much as you want a confidant and you want someone that will make you feel better, don't get someone that will lie to you. Because some people prefer being lied to. Some people prefer everyone agreeing to whatever they're saying, even if it does not make sense. And their friends will be hyping them. Their friends will be like, oh yes, that is totally what you should have done.
Yes,
like,
girl, go for it.
Go,
like you're going to kill yourself. Yes, do it.
Do it. Like we're gonna do it too. But get someone that will tell you the truth, that is not afraid. The truth hurts sometimes.
It does.
But it's better to have a truthful friend and a real friend than have fake ones that tell you, that make you happy.
Yeah, that's true. I hope my friends are watching this. to know that I am for you. Okay, I'm not against you, right? It's always good to have people like. Sometimes you feel like this person, mom, they
will
never
just be
tell
exactly
like they're always against me. Like why? They're always against me. But then
But they're
at
just
the
telling you
end,
the
yeah,
truth.
you just know that they're telling you the truth. Although the truth hurts sometimes. It hurts most of the time. But you should know that they're telling you the truth, okay? And then so right now we are going to go on another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to do a quick summary of our points. All right.
Broken. Don't tell you an explanation.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the show. Wow, interesting, right? What do you think, Ire? Is interesting?
Yes, it's very interesting.
Wow. Okay. All right. So we're still on the topic. This person that is asking, like, they don't think it's an issue to not tell people what they're going through because they feel like people would use their vulnerability against them. Like they don't want to be vulnerable in front of people. Maybe make them seem weak or something. And yeah, so just talking about why is it important to like tell people what's going on with you, and also like about friends, like what type of friends should you have? Yeah.
So I feel like the best type of friend you should have is the type of friendship that David and Jonathan had. Jonathan went against his father to help David. He was such a real friend that even though he knew David's plans and everything, he made sure to hide David from his dad. And that is the ideal friendship, because the Bible said there's a friend that is closer to you than a brother, and that's the type of friendship that you actually need in your life. You need a friend that is so real, so truthful, and I feel like the only way you can get those type of people in your life is by the leading of God, because there are some people that just click. There are some people that people that have come into my life that on a normal day I don't really feel like I would have really vibed with that person or something, but like the way they come into your life and the type of light they bring into your life, you just know it's orchestrated by God. Especially when you have friends from the same faith as you, they can help you grow your faith. Like I have this friend, she was my high school, she's still my friend, even though like we don't talk every day, but like the friendship is still intact. She used to help me a lot. Like she was more spiritually mature than me. So every single time, we used to call her Jesus freak, because every single time she's always talking about God, we're talking about Jesus, and she really made me want to read my Bible. She really made me want to like have my faith, because when I look at her and I see somebody that's around my age that has such a close relationship with God, she's just so inspiring, and like they just pull you closer to God. And the way they say this type of things, the way they talk about God, the way they even address you when you have done wrong and correct you, they don't make it seem like they're judging you at all. They make it seem like they genuinely love and care for you. They're not gonna, it's not like your parents that will probably shout at you or something, but like when you have a friend that is your age mate and you trust with your life, it's like the best feeling, because it's like I'm just talking to anyone like casually. It's such a casual thing. Like they can give you life-changing information, and they'll make it so casual that you wouldn't even like feel like you're being lectured or something.
Yeah, because then you can definitely relate, and you know they also relate.
Exactly.
Yeah, another example is Jesus. Okay, so I'm just reminded because we're in Easter week, right? Happy Easter to you all. So I mean, we're in Holy Week. Yes, we're in Holy Week. Yeah. So how Jesus, like at the end of his lifetime, he actually was telling his disciples that, okay, this is going wrong with me. Although at that point we definitely know that they didn't understand. Okay, but then he told them that he was explaining to them, okay, this is how I'm feeling, and also he was telling God. So definitely we know that, okay, we're supposed to like tell God that this is happening to us. But not only did he tell God, but he also told his disciples, especially his close disciples, that, okay, this is what is happening to me. Okay, and you see that afterwards, when he died and resurrected, they came to that understanding, and they were like, wow, so this is what he meant. And then they could definitely relate at that point, because they have already gone through so much, and they had already like understood that, like how, even though he was God and all that, how he was like so close to them. So they knew that even if something's happening to me, I can definitely let God know, because this kind of relationship that I have with him, and also he's teaching us to also tell other people. So that means that you also need to find, that's why it's also like really, really important to have those people around you, like you were saying,
There's something I also want to highlight. In as much as Jesus told all his disciples, he had one that was closest to him. I'm not sure if it's Peter or Paul. Yes,
No, it's actually three of them. It's Peter, James, and John.
Peter, James, and John.
I believe.
We believe, right? But like,
If I'm not wrong,
in as much as you have 12 people, you can have a big circle, but like have those that are on your inner circle. You should always have people that are like separated. That these are your people. They're not friends anymore, because I have friends and I have family. They're not my family, like blood related.
Yes.
But if they show up at my house by 12 a.m., my door is always open.
Wow.
Like there's no at this point, like when you get to that level where you're so close to someone that at this point they can pass for your sister or brother, it's perfectly fine. Because I have a friend, anytime she comes over to my house, if she's like, Mom, like, oh, go get your friend this, I was like, she knows the way to the fridge. She will make her food by herself. I'm not going to serve her, because at that point she's not even a guest anymore. But like those type of friendships, you should really look forward to having those type of friendships, because they really do help de-stress and help you a lot.
Yeah, I feel like it's very, very important. So yeah, so we are going to go on another quick. So I feel like we have already talked about other things about why is it important, to tell somebody, and why is it, you also have to come to that realization that like you're not alone. We've talked about that, how nobody is an island. So why should you not tell people? Like why should you not like tell what is happening to you? Okay. And I feel also sometimes some people feel like they can't be completely honest, especially to God. Like you're like, oh, I think I can talk to God, but can I actually tell God everything? Yes, I'm telling you, can't tell God everything. Okay. Jesus was being totally honest when he was like, God, bruh, if you can take this cup away, please do. If you can't, but let your will be done. Okay, he was being totally honest about how he was feeling, and it's not a crime, it's not a sin to actually be honest with you. If you feel, for example, you have something that's happening to you, like right now, you feel a lot of hate, any kind of emotion that you have, even if you feel like it's not a godly emotion or it's not something, you can tell God about it. Okay, God, this is how I'm feeling, and then that's you being totally honest and you totally being vulnerable, and God is actually out there looking for that, a broken heart, a contrite spirit, and that's what actually he needs. And when you begin to speak to God about what is happening to you, that's when he'll begin to send people that that okay, this is actually God sent, or a message. Okay, this is actually what God wants to tell me, and that's how he will use you, and that's how he will transform your life, just by you simply coming out.
And something I need to say is that usually what God usually does is that for some people they feel like they never remember God unless they have problems. So sometimes if he knows that you're that type of person that if everything is going well in your life, you don't care about him, sometimes he needs to break your spirit. He needs to break your spirit and put you on your knees, so you go back to him and you go looking for him. Because I also feel like there's nothing that you're facing that God will not tempt you beyond what you can carry. Yes, he will not tempt you.
He will not allow temptation to come.
Yes,
he doesn't tempt, but he will
not allow any temptation. Yeah, any temptation that you're facing, or any problem that you're facing, any trial that you're facing, know that you're strong enough to overcome it. That's why it is coming to you.
Yeah,
because nothing you cannot defeat. God will never bring anything that is too big for you, that is bigger than you, for you to like face. He's not that type. His thoughts for us are good and not an evil, to give us an expected end. So I don't see the reason why, if like people be fussing. I get that sometimes it's hard, but just know that you have the power to overcome it.
It's very important, because like sometimes you don't know what you carry until like something happens. Okay, like you don't know that like I can carry a full bucket of water. I've never carried a full bucket of water. How will I know that I'm able to carry the full bucket of water?
Like let's say like adrenaline. When you're in danger, the
way you run,
exactly.
You can't even climb walls that are higher than you. Walls that you never knew you could.
You will reach distances and speeds that you would never reach on a regular day, and that's how things are. Sometimes those things have to happen to push you to your full potential, because that fight, like when you have like adrenaline pumping and like you're in serious danger or situations, your power, everything becomes times 2. If you used to run at like 30 miles per hour, you'll be running at 40, 50, 60, hitting it. And that's the same thing with some trials you face. You have to face some problems to actually show your strength to the fullest.
Yeah, and that's exactly how the Bible puts it, that we face trials and temptations, and these are the things these are the fruits of it. You have endurance, patience, all those things. Like, you actually learn how to do this, okay? And yeah, so you should always remember that, like, anything that happens to you, no matter what it is, that God has always been there. God knows, and like, there is actually a reason behind it happening. And also, God is there for you to talk to, and you also have like different people out there that God has placed in your life. Like, maybe God has actually put that same thing that you're going to in somebody's life, so that you would learn from that person, okay? And yeah, definitely reach out to someone that you know, that you yourself in deep in your heart, you know, even though this person will tell me like something that I will not like, but they're telling me the truth, and they're telling me something that will not only take me that will not take me backwards, but will take me forward. That will increase my relationship with God and all those things. Yeah, so it's always very important for you to know that. All right, so we're going to go on one last break, and then when we come back, we're going to
conclude.
Yes, we are going to conclude. Yeah, be right back. All right.
Broken. Don't tell you an explanation.
Hello everyone.
Hi guys.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. So basically, we said a lot of things. We said a lot of things that okay, and so we are going to just conclude basically what we are trying to say. Yes, please go on.
So in conclusion, all we're trying to say is that no man is an island. You need people to help face your problems. You also have to like make sure, like, don't magnify your problems too much. Always know that there's someone out there that is having it worse than you, and that will make you feel grateful. That will make you feel grateful, because to be honest, sometimes I do feel like nobody can have it worse than me. Like,
oh my God, like.
But when you look back and you hear some people's stories, and when people tell you what they have gone through, you realize that you have every reason to praise the Lord. Yes, and also write down your feelings. If you feel like at the moment, there's no one you can actually talk to about how you're feeling, then write it down, because it's actually therapeutic. Like, it really does help. Also, find things to make you happy, and like, those are just things to do in the interim of finding your people. Find your people. Find people that will uplift your spirit and your soul.
Yeah, that's really important. And also, be completely honest with God. Like, you don't have to hide what you are feeling at that moment. If you feel like crying, if you feel like you're a mess, God is that particular moment that God actually wants you to talk to Him the most. Okay, and you don't ever have to, like, you also obviously need to develop your relationship with God, right? You need to like have that relationship with God where you're like, because otherwise, like, it's going to be like you're talking to a stranger. True. You know. But if you're always like talking to God, that's why it's always important to do your quiet time, you know, study the Bible, you know, do things, and also
work for God, work for Him. So that's another way of getting really close to Him.
Serve,
yes.
Yeah, be a servant. That's what Jesus came to do. He came to serve and not to be the master, right? Just have like, and know that, like, having, like, telling people, like, saying something doesn't mean that you're exposing your weakness to the people. No, but like, if you find the right person, right, you're telling them just because you want, or you need to like tell somebody what's happening to you. Okay,
on the find the right person. Like, emphasis on that, because don't talk to anybody about your problems. I'm not saying that you should go looking for people to just tell your problems to, but like, find good people.
And it also helps with your like integrity. Like, are you actually being integrated? Because if for example, you have someone that you consider like a close friend, and then something happens to you, and they're like, I never knew this about you, or I never, like, you just suddenly explode, and suddenly, you know, they're like,
have you always been like this?
Like you know,
they don't know you. They might feel like they don't know you.
Yeah, and it's like it's actually a good
not nice.
thing. Yeah, it's not nice to like to consider someone a friend and not tell them. That's why when you find the right people, that's the people that you are supposed to move with, because you know, and then tell them about all these things that are happening to you. And also it's going to help you in the future, because once you tell somebody, it's going to be light and you'll be able to tell other people. Like for example, if you're a woman and you're supposed to like get married, how are you going to tell your husband all these things that have happened to you if you never spoke to anybody? You couldn't find it difficult. But once you have actually lifted those things up, and also is another way of the enemy not being able to like come back to you and say this about you. You know, for example, if you used to be a thief and you've told people and like you've actually let it go,
exactly,
you know, like
it
if the devil
help.
comes, you're like, and
okay,
so it used to be me, but not.
Yes, because it's like, okay, let's say an example is like, let's say I'm in the kitchen, I'm doing dishes, and then I break a plate. And then I go upstairs and I'm like, oh, mommy, daddy, I broke your plate. I'm really sorry about breaking your plate. By the time my little brother wants to come and report me, we're like, oh, mommy, daddy, you really broke a plate. My mom was like, oh, okay.
I know.
Exactly. That is the best feeling. That is the best feeling.
Yeah.
Like, it's good for you to let people know about your circumstance so no one can even use it to blackmail you. Because if somebody finds out, that is when it's worse. And like, if the people that you hold closest to you don't know about it and somebody finds out, they can
come and tell them.
Exactly. They can be like, if you don't do this, I'm going to tell your friend that this is what you have been doing, or this is what you have been struggling with, and all the type of things. And like, that is the worst thing that could ever happen to you. You have to let people that you deem close to your heart in on the problems that you are facing. So nobody can ever use your problems against you.
Especially the devil.
Exactly. Because when that is already done too, when they want to say something, it's not news. You can
like
go.
It's still news.
It's still news, exactly.
Thank you.
You can go and be like, okay, fly. Like how we used to I always in primary school. I'll be like, fly.
So we ain't them alive. I don't care.
I don't care. Exactly.
You know, yeah, it's really important. Yeah, letting God know, letting people know, yeah. And it's definitely going to help you. So I hope that everything that we've said so far has actually helped you gain a little insight on why you should tell people, not everyone though, but just tell someone about what you're going through, okay? And please make sure to send in your comments, your questions, any question that you have about anything. It doesn't have to be specific, just any question. You can send to us on our social media page, and every social media at TeenTok Gambia. One word, at TeenTok Gambia. Okay, and so from the entire production team and us here, we want to say goodbye. We love you. And we need to survive. Bye.
Okay.
Broken. Don't tell you an explanation. Broken. Don't tell you an explanation.